Hi, guys. Well, it's been a hot minute, hasn't it? I hope that you had a wonderful Christmas, wonderful Thanksgiving, wonderful New Year, and that 2026 is starting out very well for you. In this video, I'm going to be covering a couple of things. First thing is going to be my 2026 budget, living only on Social Security. And then I have another little subject that I'm going to be bringing up, which you probably could tell from the thumbnail what it's going to be about, but we'll get into that later. So let's get right into this. So with the cost of living increase, my current Social Security income is $17.87 a month. Here are my fixed expenses. The first is my rent, which is $511 a month. That includes my electric, my water, all that stuff. Then is my insurance, which is both my car and my rental insurance, and that's $76 a month. My mobile phone is $46.73. My internet is $14.95, and that is a special rate that they have for seniors. My medical is $50, and that's the thing we're going to be talking about later. My subscriptions are $15.88, and the total is $714.56 for my fixed expenses. And that gives me $1,072.44 to play with my variable expenses. Okay, so let's go through these. My groceries, I have upped those. If you know, my previous budget was much less than this, but I have upped that to $250 a month. I do still get $23 a month in EBT funds, I guess food stamps, if you want to call it that. I get that. I haven't factored that into here, but 250 is going to be my budget for groceries. Gas is $20 a month. Now that I'm living closer to my son and my grandkids, I don't drive as much, so I'm sticking to 20. Sometimes that lasts longer than a month. My household for, things that we need around here that have nothing to do with groceries, it's $30 a month. Clothing is $50 a month. I don't know. I don't think I had that as a sinking fund or something that I had set money aside for regularly, but I am going to be doing that now. It is needed very much. Grandkids, $50 a month for whatever. Taking them to a movie, getting them a little something that I see that I think they might like. That's what that's for. Entertainment is $50. That's for if I want to go to the movies or there's a little day trip that I want to take. I set aside $50 a month for that. Vacation is a big one right now. It's $200. I have decided in starting this year, there's going to be more travel for me. And I have 2 trips planned, so for actually 3 trips planned so far this year. I have one going out west to Colorado. We're having a family reunion. That's where I still have some, I have one sibling that still lives there, and we have a huge group of cousins that still live there. So that's where we're going to have the reunion. I'm really excited about that. Another one is going to be visiting my sister out in Nevada. And I am also thinking about getting back into gourd art. I had stopped that for a while, but I'm thinking about doing it again. And there is what they call a gourd festival, which is really, they sell things there, sell completed gourds, they sell raw gourds and materials to do the craft, but they also have classes there and a competition, and I'm thinking about going to that. That's within my state, so it's like just a little driving vacation. Furniture, I have set $50 a month. There is something that I do want to buy, hopefully by the end of the year, so I'm trying to get that money together for that. Gifts is $85. That includes birthdays and Christmas. For my vehicle, I'm setting aside right now $80 a month for oil changes and repairs. I tell you, this car, I have a 2013, no, I have a 2012 Honda Civic, and it's running like a top. I mean, rarely ever needs anything, but I do set aside money for that. For my savings, I will be setting aside $175 a month. And then I always keep a little buffer in my account, and it's usually around $30. I usually pick up the small cents and dollars into that, so it's 32.44. So that's my budget. Well, this may look a little familiar to you. I've been working on her. I had some gifts that I had to make for Christmas that interfered with me getting this done, but I will get back to her. So this is just backdrop, make it a little bit more interesting. So let's go back to that $50 monthly medical expense figure that was in my budget. A few months ago, I started on a GLP-1 medication, and that's where that expense comes in. You've probably heard about GLP-1 medications. I mean, the advertisements are everywhere right now. You can't get away from them, from places like Fridays, Hers, Ro, Mochi. And so even though you may have heard about them, some of you may not know what they are, how they work, what's the difference between them. And I'm going to try and explain it to you as simply as I can and not spend too much time on it. But hey, who knows? Um, Now, if this isn't content you're interested in, I understand. You can just go ahead and opt out right now, but no big deal. But it's something that I did want to share because I am so hyped about it. I'm very excited about what's happening for me and, seeing it in excitement when so many people. But anyway, so first, just a little bit of my background, how I got to this place, why I decided to do this. I'm not going to go into great detail here, but here it is. So I started gaining weight in my early 20s. I wasn't a heavy teen. I wasn't heavy when I was, up until maybe like I was 24 or so. And then I started putting on a little bit of weight, but still nothing serious. It got up to maybe I'm like five. Well, I was 5'5" then. I'm 5'4" now. Um, I shrunk. Um, so at 5'5", when I gained weight, when I was a teenager, I was around 120, 125 pounds. And then when I got into my early 20s, I just started adding a little bit of weight, and I got up to maybe about 140, 150 pounds. So, about 20 pounds overweight. Um, but then I gained weight with each one of my pregnancies, like we women tend to do. And I'd be able to lose a little weight after each pregnancy, but I still ended up weighing more after the pregnancy than I did before. So I didn't lose all the weight that I gained. And then after the last pregnancy, I just kept putting it on. I never managed to get it back off. I think I probably, get 20 pounds off here or there, then creep back up and then go back down and, did the whole yo-yo thing. Um, and then in 2004, so 22 years ago, I had gastric bypass surgery. At that time, that was the solution, or one of the solutions, I should put it that way. And that's a solution I chose, and it worked. I lost over 125 pounds. I felt great, and I kept it off, most of it off, for a good deal of time. But then, as you've seen with a lot of people, it just started coming back, and it kept going and going and going until I ended up weighing as much as I did before I had the surgery. So, um, and some of you have probably gathered, you've heard, I've mentioned it, that I've had mobility issues in the last couple of years. The arthritis in my knees, as arthritis tends to do, just kept getting progressively worse and worse. And it got to the point where even the simplest things were very difficult for me to do. And we're talking about standing at the kitchen sink trying to do my dishes. That was difficult for me to do. And standing in line at the bank or the grocery store, any of those things. I did end up getting to the point where I bought myself a rollator so that I would be able to, get to and from stores and, just basically do just the very minimum. I mean, and I gotten to the point where I didn't even want to do that. I'd have, delivery was my thing. If I could have it delivered, I'm not going to the store. So I knew that I had to do something or my knees were just going to be the least of my worries. There's so many other health issues that were going to come up. I already had very high blood pressure that I was needing to maintain with some medication, and I had, my cholesterol was high, and I was pre-diabetic, and I knew all of those things were just going to keep getting worse. So I started taking a GLP-1 a few months ago, and I will tell you that it is working astoundingly well. Actually, my son, my younger son, he's 34 now. He started it before I did, and so I was kind of watching him to see, because I was still skeptical about whether or not it would work, and I wanted to see how it was going to go for him. And he doesn't have nearly as much to lose as I do, but so I watched him for a few weeks, and it was just amazing how different it was. And he would give me details about how things had changed for him. So I decided to start it, and I've lost 44 pounds in 17 weeks. I have no intention of stopping. I will keep going until I reach my goal weight, which at 5'4" is probably going to be around, I keep kind of changing it, but I think it's probably going to be around, I'll be happy with 150 pounds. I'll put it that way. Other benefits, my knees don't hurt much anymore at all, ever. Unless I happen to do a lot of walking or a lot of standing, and then they will start to ache. So I've completely gotten off of medication for that. I was on 40 milligrams of lisinopril for my blood pressure before I started on the GLP-1. I am now completely off of blood pressure medication. And wonder of wonders, not only am I able to stand at the kitchen sink to do my dishes now, I'm exercising, I'm walking, I'm doing resistance training. I am, uh, I also have about myself a vibration plate, and I use that almost every day. And if the weather is not good and I don't want to go to the gym, or I don't want to walk around outside, I will at least put on a YouTube video and do some seated exercises. I still have to acknowledge the fact that I'm 71 years old and I've been sedentary for a few years. So my muscles are not what they should be in order to be able to manage, standing up and doing a lot of vigorous exercises. So there are on YouTube a lot of seated exercising that still will take care of those muscles and get my muscles built back up. And, once they get to a point where I can do them standing up, then I will. So let's go ahead now and talk about what GLP-1s are. And I mean, you've seen them, and you probably wonder, you know, why have they become so popular? You've seen a lot of celebrities talk about it, but let's talk a little bit about the history of this and why it's become actually quite a phenomenon. So why obesity medications have become a big deal is because obesity was finally classified as a chronic relapsing disease by the World Health Organization in 1948. And then in 2013, the AMA came in and they really reframed it as a medical condition needing treatment, which paved the way for GLP-1 drugs. People were seeing significant weight loss and cardiovascular benefits, and it's really helping to address societal stigma that if you can't lose weight, it's your fault. You're not trying hard enough. Man, I dealt with that judgment for decades. Now I know it's not a personal failing. A person's obesity is caused by a combination of factors that include environmental, genetic, and physiological factors. My body does not work the way a normal body does. It's broken, and my GLP-1 medication fixes it. So how did it fix my body? What is it about a GLP-1 that helps me and millions of other people? So GLP-1 stands for glucagon-like peptide 1. It's a natural occurring hormone in your body that gets released after you eat, if your body is working correctly. If your body is not working correctly, less of the hormone may be released, or maybe not much at all. And that's what is broken in me that the GLP-1 fixes, and this is how it helps. The GLP-1, just like your natural hormones, will signal fullness to your brain when it says you had enough to eat. It slows down how fast the food leaves your stomach, so you feel full longer. It also helps your pancreas release insulin when your blood sugar is high. If you have a chemical imbalance where you're not producing GLP-1 or you're not producing enough, the medications copy or enhance it. Not only does it slow your digestion so you feel full longer, it reduces your appetite by acting on your brain's hunger centers, the things that make you think about food. Now, a normal person probably doesn't think about food like an obese person does. We think about it all the time when we are not on this medication, and that's what's called food noise. So that combination helps lead to better eating control, and that leads to your weight loss. There are currently two types of GLP-1 drugs on the market, and there are many, many more that are being tested right now, and they will be coming out probably in the next year or two. Novo Nordisk is the company that makes Ozempic and Wegovy. The active ingredient in Ozempic and Wegovy is the same thing. It's semaglutide. And the one that is for type 2 diabetes is Ozempic, and the one that is for weight loss is Wegovy. Eli Lilly produces Mounjaro, which is the one for type 2 diabetes, and Zepbound, which is the drug that's approved for weight loss. The active ingredient in these is tirzepatide. Okay, so what's the difference between the semaglutide and the tirzepatide, the active ingredients in these medications? Well, in the case of semaglutide, it has a single action agonist. Okay, so what's an agonist? An agonist is in this case, a peptide that binds to the cell receptor, activates it, and then mimics the natural substance. So that hormone that you need that makes you feel full, that goes ahead and acts on your insulin, this agonist will go ahead and do that and either make a more comprehensive, stronger response or just replace it completely if you don't have it at all. So as I was saying, the semaglutide has one agonist, but the tirzepatide, which is the one that's in Zepbound and Mounjaro, has two. It has a GLP-1, but it also has a GIP, glucose-dependent insulinotropic polypeptide. And that little gem of a peptide has a receptor activation specifically for improving how the body will break down and stores fat for energy, and that helps contribute to significant weight loss. As you probably heard, the people that take Zepbound and Mounjaro do tend to lose more than the people who take Wegovy or Ozempic. I chose to take the GLP-1 that has tirzepatide as the active ingredient because I have a lot of weight to lose and I wanted to have the best outcome possible for me. So that's the basics of it. I'll say this right now. GLP-1 and medications aren't for everybody. So they can have side effects and they do require medical supervision. It was the right decision for me. And I'm a very strong believer in the efficacy of the medication. If you're interested in it, the best advice I can give you is to talk to your healthcare provider and see if it's right for you. I hope this helps some people understand GLP-1s a little bit better. If you'd like to know more about them and about what I'm doing, let me know. I don't know yet if I want to add weight loss journey to the content of my channel, but I might. Never say never. If you want to ask questions in the comments, please do so. I am more than happy to talk about this. I love my medication. I love what it's doing for me. It's literally changing my life. And I'm happy to have rational, open discussions about it. But I know that there's a lot of fear mongering about weight loss medications, and some people think that it's the wrong way to go for whatever reason. And this isn't the place for that kind of discussion. Genuine, curious discussion, it's encouraged. If you have questions about it, you don't understand, you need clarification on something, you heard ABC and you want to understand why that may not be true, there's a lot of myths going on, I'll be happy to discuss that so long as it is polite discussion. But just like we don't money shame on this channel, we also don't weight shame. So ask your questions, ask away. I'll try and answer them as best I can. I'm still kind of a newbie at this since I've only been at it for about 4 months, but I'll answer them as best I can, and we can go on from there. And that's enough of that. In my next videos, I am going to be doing a cash stuffing of my sinking funds, and I will be doing some savings challenges. So that stuff will come back onto the channel, but it'll only be once a month for those things because I do only get paid once a month. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and talk to you on the flip side. Bye-bye.